this is a continuation of one of our previous episodes where we talked about the ethics of the meat industry. So if you would like a little bit of a refresher of the background and history of the related topic, then check out one of our previous episode named
The Meat Industry. It was episode 4. I forget what it was actually called, but it was season 2, episode 4,
episode 4
about the meat industry.
All right. Now, jumping right into the continuation, where in this time we will talk about the environmental impacts of the meat industry.
Wow! And we'll also, a little bit later, go into maybe some new diets we can switch into. We previously talked about plant-based diets, but you know what? There's more than just plant-based diets when it comes to alternative solutions to the meat industry. So, I suppose a good place to start, I guess, is the unsustainability of the meat industry. Why is it unsustainable? Maybe you have some ideas back at home or wherever you're listening to this. But there are a few undisputed reasons why it is unsustainable. The first that we found is water consumption. It takes a lot of water to process meat.
Yes, in like every step of the process, there's a lot of water involved.
If you watched that Mark Grober video about plant-based meat, you might remember he has like a whole swimming pool of water, and then he puts like a few stacks of beef patties next to the pool, and he's like, this amount of water makes this amount of beef patties. He was not lying. It takes a lot of water to make a little bit of meat.
Yes.
And fun fact, the world may be covered in 2/3 water, but it's not usable water. Only about 1% of the water on Earth is actually fresh water that can be used for this kind of stuff. So it's very unsustainable if we keep using water like this.
Right, and if you want specific numbers, it's about 1.6 to 1.8 K gallons of water to produce 1 pound of beef. That's a lot.
Yeah. For us Americans, I don't think it's a kiloliter, right?
It's no. It's around 1,600 to 1,800 gallons of water to produce one pound of beef. And that apparently,
okay, never mind.
According to www.denverwater.org, is enough to fill 39 bathtubs of water for 1 pound of beef. Beef, and that's beef only.
Which is insanely unsustainable, because as I said before, only 1% of our Earth really has fresh water that we can use for this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And not only that, that's bad for water sources. What's even worse is the amount of fertilizers used to grow the feed, to feed the animals to make the meat. Fertilizers are used a lot in America, especially artificial fertilizers. And they're really bad because farmers tend to overuse them because they produce a better product for the most part. And then when water comes and there's excess runoff, it grabs a lot of the excess fertilizer and moves it into bodies of water and causes eutrophication. Who at home knows what eutrophication is? Charlene, what's eutrophication? Do you know?
I don't know. Explain it.
I will explain it. Eutrophication is when there's excess nutrients in water and it causes algae blooms. Algae blooms are bad because it causes a green layer of algae to form at the top of the water, blocking all sunlight. And guess what, guys? Sunlight is needed underwater, or else you can't see and plants can't grow and things die. So it's really bad. So not only are we overusing water, as in using it a lot, we're also destroying the sources that we have. All from the meat industry. And more, obviously, but this is, it's a big cult.
Okay, so we spit a lot of facts here. A big little info dump. I guess now I kind of want to talk about like how this is overall perceived in like our personal lives and American culture, as this is what our podcast is about. But I personally think I've definitely been exposed to this kind of information a lot more because I myself went vegan for a few months just to try it out and see what that was like, and also again because I did want to contribute to lowering
The meat
my
industry.
meat intake, lowering my meat intake
Yeah.
to help the environment. I mean, of course, I know one person isn't gonna change the world, but a lot of this was just about exploration, trying new foods, seeing the lifestyle. Um, so
How'd it go?
I do know, like, I am more aware about this kind of stuff and that
Hmm.
it's a real thing. But I'm sure if you talk to a lot of people, they wouldn't have a clue about the negative impacts of meat. Like a lot of the times, I feel like the first line of reasoning used, well, not even the first line of reasoning, but the first thing that you think of when you hear something like veganism or vegetarianism is animal cruelty, which is what we just talked about in our last
Yeah.
episode. But another huge part of it, and I think, I mean, this is growing, but another huge reason is the
Hmm.
environment. But I don't know. I can't say that tons of people know about this, like this as a reason. Or maybe they refuse to
Yeah.
acknowledge it because, I mean, we live in America, plenty of meat eaters, huge meat industry.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, most of the time you'll only talk about animal cruelty, not so much about the environmentalism. Yeah. I think that's mostly because like the meat industry is not the only reason why there's climate change. There's
Right.
a ton of other reasons why there's climate change, and the meat industry is kind of just like put into this super long list that you need to look through. Um, I don't know. I think it's just the amount of other stuff that also causes climate change like dilutes that reason, kind of. Because it just feels like more you need to fix before you actually fix climate change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't really. Yeah, because people who I know that are vegan, I've asked them like why are you vegan? They're like, oh, because I love animals.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never heard like, oh, because runoff fertilizer causes
Right,
eutrophication
exactly.
in bodies of water. So yeah. How did veganism work out for you, by the way? Do you think that was like kind of like impacted
It worked out, like for
yourself?
me personally, it worked out really well actually because it got me, like, that was at a time when I was pretty limited. Like, I was quite a picky eater, so being vegan, I guess, definitely made me, it gave me a lot more options and opened a whole new world to me, basically. Of course, found vegan alternatives to foods that I ate a lot, and sometimes I haven't even switched back. Like, for example, I no longer drink animal milk because I personally, I know I'm going to get judged so hard for this, but I personally find plant based milks better. I just don't like animal milk anymore. Like right
Yeah.
now, I drink almond milk, but my top favorite has to be macadamia milk. That was really good, but
Mm.
also very expensive. But I like that's
Yeah.
something I stick to this day. But I've also tried plant based yogurt alternatives, which I liked, like chocolate snacks, and basically, I my diet got a lot healthier because I was eating a lot more whole foods like vegetables,
Mhm.
fruits, and using those in my cooking, things like that.
It's funny you say almond milk because actually the past few months I've been really only using almond milk. I don't
Oh,
know. Like
nice.
like I don't know what's up with supermarket milk, but it just smells so bad to me. I really
It
can't
smells like
eat. But
farts.
like
I don't like it.
yeah, yeah. But like also like unsweetened almond vanilla almond milk is so good in cereal. It makes it like 20 times better. So if you're eating cereal and you're like this cereal is fine, but I wish it was better. Use unsweetened vanilla almond milk. I know where I am. It's like the exact same price as milk. I think it might even be a bit cheaper.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a good alternative. So I think maybe we'll kind of like we'll come back to the unsustainability. But now that we're on this topic, I think it's smart to talk about some alternatives to
Yes.
meat. And we talked about plant-based
Yes.
meat, Impossible Meat, Beyond Meat. Fine. Now they have like nuggets. I think it's like Impossible or Beyond Nuggets. I forget exactly what it is. I remember on Instagram, someone took a picture of like the KFC, and I think they're Beyond Nuggets. They're like, this is the
Mhm.
worst looking thing ever. It looks like someone like deep fried erasers, and I couldn't agree more. So I've had him. I've had Impossible. No, I've had Beyond Meat, and I really did not like it. I believe we talked about it in the plant-based episode. But maybe let's talk about something else. Who cares about plant-based meat? How about let's talk about meat that is technically meat, but
Technically meat.
um, but it isn't really meat. Charlene, would you like to talk about clean meat, perhaps?
Clean meat. All right. Okay, so this is something for the people who are more environmentally conscious, but
Hmm.
still like meat and are comfortable with the idea. Okay, I'll explain. So, clean meat is basically grown using the stem cells of the animal. But where do those stem cells and other nutrients come from? They come from something called fetal bovine serum, which is basically comes from the blood of baby cows. Which I mean, it's still meat.
Uh, Cow fetuses, right?
Yes, cow fetuses. Yes,
Yeah.
fetuses, not babies.
So, pre-baby
Yes,
cow.
pre-babies.
But if you
I
look
don't
up
know.
clean meat, first image is meat, or what looks like meat. So I don't know. I have never had clean meat. I don't know about you. Would you, Charlene? Would you eat clean meat?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not that big of a meat eater.
Mm.
Um, so probably not. But I feel like I'd have a bite just to try it and just see what it's like.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it just tastes like meat. I don't know.
Yeah,
It
I
would be
mean, it
really
is
interesting
meat.
to have like a taste test. Guys, comment down below if you guys want a taste test of different kinds of meat alternatives. Okay, so we talked about a solution to some of these problems, right? If you take the blood of a cow fetus, guess what? You don't need to raise that cow, which means less water, which means less feed. So less water is being used, and less water goes into bodies of water. Feed goes, no, fertilizer goes to bodies of water. Less eutrophication. That is a great thing. But that's the only reason why meat and the meat industry is really unsustainable. It's only a part of it. Another part of it is the supply chain. Kind of talked about this with water use, but processing meat takes a lot of power. It takes a lot of water, which is bad for
Right.
the environment, and it produces a lot of CO2 and methane and kind of every bad thing that you don't want put into the atmosphere. Yeah, processing meat will do that. Not even Can also mention trucking back and forth between stores and factories. That's
Mhm.
even worse. So Charlene, I have a question for you. Do you think veganism solves those kinds of problems, or do you think that's just like a overall problem of everything?
I don't know. I mean, if like a pretty big chunk of our population were to go vegan, I think that would. It would solve a bunch of these problems. I'm not gonna say it's not gonna cause some other problems, but if we're talking about solving these specific problems regarding meat, the meat industry, everything, definitely it is.
I kind of disagree with you there, though. Like partially.
Oh.
Yeah. If you guys didn't see, Charlene just did the You guys can't see. Charlene just did the Megamind face, though. Um, based off of what I just said, she don't believe me. But um, a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the meat alternatives, like vegan chicken nuggets and stuff, I wouldn't say are any less processed than real chicken nuggets. I don't know if
I
switching
wasn't even
to
thinking about those. I was not
well,
thinking
I mean,
about
like
that.
if
That would be for
because
real.
here's the issue with like modern veganism, like
You're
okay,
just gonna
you can
find
be
substitutes of
vegan,
everything.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, but it's like you can eat quinoa and kale, all day every day, but they don't just have fruits and vegetables as vegan. You can have chicken nuggets that are vegan. You can have steak that is vegan. You can have egg whites and egg yolks that are vegan.
I'm gonna be for real. I was
mhm,
thinking about straight up giving up meat, all meat alternatives altogether. Cause that's actually what I did when I was vegan. I liked it because I don't like meat, but for a meat eater, that's of course understandably difficult. And even
mhm,
eating the meat alternatives would be difficult.
sure.
But yeah,
In a different way.
if we're bringing in yes, if we're bringing in meat alternatives and processed meat like that into the question,
Mhm.
I I really can't say. I mean, there's still
Yeah.
gonna be processing costs. There's still gonna be, I mean, transportation costs, supply chain costs, and now like laboratory costs, more employee
Yeah.
costs because they're like making it and everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I still think it would be better for the environment.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think it would be because there are issues that come from just the production of animal meat that are completely like removed from the equation. I mean, sure, there's probably going to be like, I don't know, like environmental damage from the labs, but I don't think it's anywhere near having like millions of cows.
Burping and farting in
Yes,
the
burping and farting and
smallest
releasing their methane.
land
Yes.
possible. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you there. I just think it's a testament to how we um like how America operates. It's not just the meat industry that has high transportation costs, environmentally and otherwise. You grow an apple. If you're in Arizona getting an apple, do you think they have apple trees in Arizona? I doubt it. Um, we talked about this, forgetting which episode, but um, we talked about how like produce, is shipped across massive areas and then kind of just like sits there for like months in stores waiting to be put on
Yeah.
shelves. So I feel like a bigger issue to solve isn't just, meat, but how we ship food. Which, haha, guess what? It's not just like, well, too bad we can't do anything about it. We can do something about it. A big thing we can do about it. Something called locavorianism. I was taking AP English language last year in composition. AP English language and composition last year. And we had to do a practice FRQ, FRQ1, I think it was, about whether or not the locavore diet is good or not. Um,
Oh,
oh, it is pretty awesome. Pretty much means that you eat stuff that's local. That's cray cray. Yeah. And there are a ton of really good reasons why to do it, right? Things are local, not, you don't have to ship things across states. Maybe it's, just like a few miles, maybe like 100 miles at most. Um, Not only that, but it's better for you. Because the moment you take something off a tree or a bush, it loses nutrients very quickly. So if you get an apple that has been sitting in store for like a month, that apple, or even a few months, that's going to have like little to no nutrients in there. Um, it will not be as healthy as a fresh apple. So, um, locavorianism is just another solution to, I guess I'll call it like traditional meat production, I guess.
right.
And I think
It's
that's,
crazy how you learned this in language class.
yeah, I was taking environmental science, but I didn't learn it there. No, sorry, I learned it in language class. Um, but I don't know. Do you think, Charlene, do you think the locavorianism, that, that the locavore diet is possible for America as a whole?
No, I do not think it is.
Why not?
Cost,
Mm,
um, and the fact that so many people rely on supermarkets
yeah.
and location. Some people just don't have, you just aren't in a geographical location
Hmm.
that is able to support an entire town of localvores.
Mm,
And a lot of the issues is just with transportation as well. Like aside from this, food transportation is a huge issue in general. I think I saw somewhere that we have enough food to feed the world,
yeah.
except it's all an issue of how it's distributed. And I
Yeah.
think this is just another thing. Like, lo- ideally, local voria, lo, lo, lo,
Uh-oh, we're doing
um,
it again. Locavorianism.
Locavorianism. Sounds great. You're supporting local farmers. You are having more nutritious food, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's for all of America. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
But I mean, I am seeing a rise of people visiting farmers markets instead, things like that, which is great. But we live in New York, so all that stuff is definitely possible.
Yeah. There are like giant farmers markets. Like around where I live, there are farmers markets. If you go to Union Square, there's a giant farmers market there every weekend. But it's like if you want to get like honey, it's like $25 a bottle. They're like small bottles.
Yeah.
So I could very easily see why, if you're doing that if you're doing it for everything you eat or most things you eat, that's gonna get really expensive really quickly. So I see exactly where you're coming from. I think that's kind of the issue with this whole issue. There's not like one thing they're gonna say, oh yeah, that solves it easily. Okay, everyone can be a locavore. Okay, we can eat plant-based meat or clean meat or whatever. But I think to some degree, every single one of the problems we're facing now, we're going to be facing in some way if we switch. And I think that's just a testament to overpopulation and food inequity around the world. I think, the only way to change all this is just big, systematic change internationally.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Spoonable Standpoint. If there's something you want us to talk about, put it in the question we pose on Spotify under our Season 2 trailer or on our website. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Spoonable_standpoint for bonus content and a link to our website. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share. We release a new episode every other Friday, hopefully, and we hope to see you there.